We are live. Yes, sir. GYGB War Report.
The War Report. Shout out to Capone and Noriega.
Word up. This is our second live show in the last 2 weeks. We're now bringing it to the home base, GYGB.
No doubt.
I'm co-host Roberto Flack, my man. Philly's on full train. What is goody, man?
Oh man, ain't nothing, my dude. You know, just want to welcome the audience out there, the Guard Your Girl Boxing family. You know, back to our page. You know, why don't you give an introduction about yourself?
Man, I mean, we gotta, I guess for the old, I would say the old
guard, right? Yeah,
the OG. Well, really, the OG boxing heads and fans that were part of YouTube during its embryonic stages when we the GYGB crew, myself and some others, were doing videos, covering the sport. You know, we were already longtime fans back then, but YouTube was like the platform, and YouTube's had like its roller coaster and everything, and we've seen a bunch of new faces and some old faces bowing out, coming back. But with us, man, it's no secret at this point, man. We like to say we formed like Voltron. The community gathered together, man, and I became a part of the clique. The South Florida region. Is that what you know what I'm saying? So yo, man, we are here, man. Like we've been saying, man, the Facebook page has been really on and popping right now, man. And
no doubt.
Look, we got while we talked last week, I posted the video up as far as like the first. I mean, we're already done with the first half of 2018, man. And
the boxing season, like we said, when boxing season, you got to count.
Man.
1, 2.
It is really halves, man, because the summertime's always like there's a couple fights we'll talk briefly about that are going to be coming up in the summertime, but really all roads at this point lead to Canelo GGG 2. Beyond the fiasco that took place earlier in the year, cooler heads prevailed. Some money was exchanged or agreed upon, and which usually is the sticking point as to why fights happen and don't. But we were getting the fight September 15th, live again from where what some people would call the robbery took place. We're gonna come right back to the scene of the crime, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man. Like I was saying before, man, the summertime is here, and we're all planning our. Here's crazy, man.
Yeah.
One of the fights we'll briefly talk about concerns a guy that last year. Remember when we had this discussion? The fact that Manny Pacquiao was fighting this guy Jeff Horn 4th of July weekend. It was July 3rd.
Yeah.
And we were all like, "What?" On 4th of July weekend,
right?
Ended up turning into like 4 million households watching.
Right. Yeah.
So we're skipping now a year later, and that same guy is fighting close to when the last time he fought.
Yep.
That of Manny Pacquiao. He is fighting Lucas Matthysse. Yeah, I mean, who another guy has had a roller coaster of a career in a sense, but he's had this, I think, his second fight now at welterweight. The fight's in Malaysia for people that don't know.
Right.
At this point, I don't even know in the United States side of things how this fight is going to be televised, because we all experienced the Crawford Horn on the ESPN Plus app, and it's safe to say not many people are hopping fences or logging on their computers to like sign up for the subscription. So that's a little shaky too. But Manny Pacquiao, man, it's crazy to say in 2018 we're still talking about him professionally fighting, when many of us probably thought maybe a fight after the Mayweather fight would have been over and done with. Right. He's continuing his career, man, for as long as it's going to be lasting. Because what's in front of him, man, I mean, let's just start with Lucas Matthysse, man. We talked about this, and some people may kind of look down upon this or think differently. But look, man, while I think conventional wisdom should tell you Manny Pacquiao should win this fight, I would say in this time frame more than ever, there is a little bit of an eyebrow raise as far as like he should beat Lucas Matthysse at this point.
Right.
But while he beat Jeff Horn, in my opinion, I think all of our opinions, that wasn't the Pacquiao of yesteryear, you know, if that makes any sense, man. I mean, this is a Pacquiao that's not as, you know, trigger happy, not as quick on his feet. He's getting hit a lot more by lower tier talent. So does Lucas Matthysse possess like any, or does he bring any trouble to the table for this version of Manny Pacquiao?
You know, it's funny. I think it'll be a little funny. I heard I keep hearing a little echo. Let me turn it down.
Yeah. I don't hear you.
All right.
I hear you, but
you hear me clearly? Okay, I just want to make sure that you can hear me clearly. All right. So anyway, Pacquiao, it's funny, you know, those who've been following Garcia Grill know I dubbed him Manny Pacquiao. You know, a lot of it was in good fun. You know what I mean? I always had the utmost respect for Manny Pacquiao. I just thought that some of his opposition was a little bit questionable, but, you know, the guy was a great fighter, a Hall of Fame fighter. And, you know, it saddens me to see a legend, an icon, because he was an iconical figure in boxing. I mean, still is an iconical figure. But, you know, we're watching him basically, you know, be used for guest features and, you know, to help the record label, basically, so to speak, you know, helping to push sales. I mean, at this point, I mean, essentially that's what he is. You know, he's like the artist that's stuck on a bad deal that still got to finish making his 5th and 6th album. You know, we know a whole bunch of rappers like that. We could spend a whole show talking about rappers that, you know, in the latter part of their career made whack albums. And I'm talking about like iconical rappers. The same thing going on with Pacquiao here. I mean, this isn't the Pacquiao that we were accustomed to seeing. This isn't the Pacquiao that beat, you know, the likes of Miguel Cotto, De La Hoya, Juan Manuel Marquez, even though some of those wins were questionable. Barrera, you know, Morales. You know, his resume doesn't need to be repeated. We all know where his resume stands. But unfortunately, like you brought up the Horn fight, even though he technically won that fight, come on, man, like he's food to Pacquiao in his prime. That's food. He's food. You know, he's a Lunchable. You know, there's no shout out to everybody sending their kids to camp this week and getting lunch together. You know, the little Lunchables. That's what Jeff Horn was. Jeff Horn was the Manny Pacquiao in his prime. So to watch him struggle with a guy like that tells you all you need to know. Now, here's the flip side of this, is that Lucas Matthysse, we don't really know how much he still, because he's not the same guy he was either.
Right.
You know, he's the guy that's been in a lot of wars. And, you know, this is going to be a war of attrition on Saturday when a fight takes place. You know, who has the most left? You know, it's funny, like, obviously, you know, if this was prime, I would pick Pacquiao, you know, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, but I don't know what Pacquiao we're getting. I don't know how much he got left. I don't know how much Pacquiao trains. I don't know how much his heart is still in boxing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if the people around him are pushing him. I mean, look, he's a grown man, he can do whatever he wants. Nobody's putting a gun to his head. But at the same time, a lot of others are benefiting from the name. Like you said, July 4th, here this man did 4 million pay-per-view buys.
Right.
On one of the busiest holidays in our country, but everybody found a way to get near it. Now, granted, it was Pacquiao, so you have people here that aren't quote-unquote traditional Americans, so therefore they were going to watch it regardless. But then, you know, it's still a lot of Americans, people that live, born and raised here, heard the name Pacquiao. Oh, let me check that out. It's almost like a free concert, and let's say, you know, somebody like KRS-One is there. You know, the numbers are going to be huge for somebody like that.
Right.
Remember, you got a legend, but I don't know, man. You hate to see this, but you understand that this is the nature of entertainment. You know, you watch great actors. You know, I don't know if you ever walk past a red box and you're like, oh, shit, I didn't know Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are still making mob movies, but it's a straight red box type situation. That's how I look at this Pacquiao Matthysse fight, like a Redbox DVD. What are those? What are DVDs anymore? You know what I'm saying?
Yo, we were talking about that earlier this week, man. DVDs are kind of going out, man. Even the Blu-ray. No, I'm saying even the Blu-rays you get now, they come with this. It's basically a pamphlet telling you own the Blu-ray, but they access it on like Vudu TV or whatever streaming device you have. You just put the code in, you'll always have the digital version of that movie. So it's crazy.
It's funny though, real quick, how all these gimmicks that came along, how they just like Blu-ray, for instance, right? Remember that was supposed to be this new wave technology that was going to take over, and it really kind of flopped. Like it didn't, because technology evolved. So once HD TV came into the fold and cable went, like it was pointless. Yeah, it was senseless. I don't know if you remember. Like I got suckered into this. The TVs with that light up in the back. I think it was Philips. Yeah. Oh, I ran out. Like these little gimmicks, like they just almost like the boxing game. You get these gimmicky fighters. You know what I mean? But
really, cell phones, man. That's really what it is, man. I mean, you look at most cell phones. I mean, it's tit for tat. Like what one can do more than the other, and you're paying like crazy amounts of money when the phone you have does just as much. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you as far as Pacquiao is concerned, man. I mean, I think with him, it's just crazy where his career was, and as far as what kind of figure he was at a point, like
he was iconic, like
10 years ago, man. I mean, because that's when 10 years this December he would have fought Oscar De La Hoya. And that really, while people, even casual sports fans knew him, that fight, like, was the launch pad, man, for
no doubt.
Any Mania. Yeah, so that was, I mean, look, the thing is, looking forward, all right, look, if he loses to Lucas Matthysse, I really think at that point it's over. Like, he call it a career. If he beats him, and let's just argue how he, particularly a knockout,
which that could happen,
right? The style of fight it could be, but what's the end game here, man? You're gonna fight Terrence Crawford? They've already gone on record saying they don't really want that fight. So it's
somebody beneath the weight, a smaller guy.
Because Bob wants to set, he wants to set Bud up to fight Pacquiao, but I think even Bud is kind of looking at this like, I know I'm not gonna fight this guy. This guy doesn't want to fight, and to a point when if I do end up fighting him, it's just such an older version of a guy that just at one point, look, a guy that at one, you could really look down the line, man, was never like a true welterweight.
Right, I was going to say,
just like based off of certain. I mean, look, man, like they match Pacquiao very well, though. At the same time, it's like you still have to give him credit because he's like.
That's what I was saying early on. Right. Well, he was matched carefully, but at the same time, when he did show out, it was just like you said, to your point. The Margarito fight was the one fight where he fought a guy that was really, really, really. I mean, all these guys,
right.
I mean, but Margarito at the time, this was he fought Margarito after Shane beat
Shane debacle, yeah.
Okay, it was post, what?
right.
I mean? So there is some doubts and some you can pick. I mean, you can go through any fighter's resume and pick through them like a bushel of crabs. You know what I mean? Any fighter, you can go through their resume, like for the most part, with the exception of a few, but for the most part, he handled his business, with guys that were future other Hall of Fame fighters, and we mentioned the names, so nobody's going to question his career. We're just basically just simply stating that, some of his career there were some careful matchmaking, and that's boxing. I just put up a post on Instagram about one of the greatest fights that never took place between Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. So we can go through the history boxing where certain fights just never took place for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But all that being said, you know, to your point, to your question, Lomachenko is still out there. And that's the one fight that I could possibly see a cash out. I mean, a huge cash out and a cash in for Lomachenko and a cash out for Pacquiao, where they could. Now, I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but that fight is actually bigger than Crawford and Pacquiao.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you feel me on that? Like, and at this point, let's keep it 100. Like most people would, a half a brain, and even the most diehard Manny Pacquiao fan will have to agree. Forget yesterday and what would have happened before, but today, as we stand, Terrence Crawford would be. It would be such a brutal. It would be like Terry Norris versus Sugar Ray Leonard for those old enough to remember that fight.
Yeah.
Now I know some people will say, "Well, Lomachenko could do," but the only somewhat helping factor for Pacquiao would be the size.
Yeah, like he's technically bigger than.
He's bigger. You know, he's naturally a bigger. That's it though. So, but that's the one thing. But we all would think Lomachenko would do to him what he did, ironically, what he did to. But that's the bigger fight, though, to cash in and cash. If you're going to do a cash in, cash out.
See, again, that's the funny thing because, you know, Lomachenko's out until they said potentially till December because he wants to fight Beltran for that belt. And, you know, and he wants to fight the guy we're going to talk about this fight after this fight. I could see a scenario, man, where you know, this Manny fights in July. Let's just say he wins, and they're gonna end up having to meet at 140 though, because I don't see.
No, it will have to be at 140. Yeah.
And that would.
But Loma will come up for that. He's coming up for that fight.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, and I think that's kind of. We've been hearing stuff about, you know, that potential fight and everything. And look, man, that fight, funny enough, would be no different. And it'd be crazy if they did it in December because that would almost be like an anniversary type of deal. I mean, to me, I think that is Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya all over again. Just Pacquiao.
That's what I said. It's the Oscar shoes, bro. It's the same exact scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just that Pacquiao would get stopped.
Yeah.
A lot earlier.
That'd be crazy. Which, look, man, that really – I don't think Lomachenko obviously goes to 147, but then that sets the stage, which, look, we're all talking about Mikey Garcia, man. You know, I mean, it's the obvious fight. You know, the segue into the other summertime showdown. And both these fights are happening in July, which is, you know –
good for us. Summertime is rough for American sports. Shout out to the World Cup, man.
Shout out to the major leagues, man.
Yeah, I mean, we bleed. Like summertime is rough, man. You know, all days of summer.
Yeah, we got. I mean, the two fights. I mean, we just talked about Pacquiao and Matthysse, but Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter Jr. A fight that we were hearing about, hopefully happening earlier this year, is happening now in July. Another unification fight at lightweight.
Yep.
The IBF and WBC. So we've talked about this fight, man. And look, Robert Easter Jr. You know, there are dimensions from him as far as like physically that, you know, show some. At least for me, it puts some interest into this fight because this guy is very big. Mikey Garcia. I mean, what have we not said about this guy, man? I mean, one of the top skill fighters. I mean, when you look at the pound for pound list, man, I mean, he's got to be in everybody's top 10 at this point. And, you know, look, there's, like I said, there's no secret here. The fight people want to see is him and Lomachenko. This is a nice, good setup fight. I don't want to say they're going to fight next, but with Mikey, we've been wanting to see him in there in good, like, competitive fights. I mean, look, we got the Broner fight. I mean, not to say that there weren't people picking Broner, but it was pretty clear who was going to win that fight, at least in my opinion. You know, I think we all agreed upon that.
Yeah.
Robert Easter Jr. is very tall for a lightweight, very rangy. But what we've seen with Mikey Garcia, man, is again this dude just keeps reminding us how skilled of a fighter he is, and why the Lomachenko fight really, man. I mean, even when we break it down today, man, like that is as close a fight as you can make outside of talking about the potential Crawford Spence fight, and very few fights can we say like, man, you'll be riding for a guy and then like you start thinking about the other one, you're like, yeah, but this guy has that's the type of fight it is. But Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter Jr. is a good fight, man. I mean, as far as on paper, as far as how it goes down, we'll see. But I mean, what's your take on that fight?
Real quick before if I give you my take, I wanted to just share with you what I have for.
Look at this dude.
Keep the Wawa cup though. Check the Wawa.
The Wawa.
Well, hold up. Listen, I don't know down there. I know y'all got Wawa.
We're getting them down here. There's a few.
Getting them down there. I know Virginia and Maryland got them. So Wawa is a Philly thing, big thing. It went down to 95 all the way down to way down 95 to where my dude Roberto's at. Like, I know in Orlando they had them. That's why I'm tripping. That's why I saw them at Disney. I know everybody on Instagram is, bragging about eating healthy, and that's like the new wave. And I'm glad people are eating healthy. And I eat healthy too, but,
every now and again, man.
Every now and again. We got it. Listen, they all, hashtag vegan life. This is the heathen life right here. The heathen life. We got me and Roberto. We always tease each other. We got a little sweet teeth here and there, and he likes to do the sweet stuff, as do I. Everybody got their
every now and then.
Yeah. Everybody got their flaws. This happened to be mine. But anyway, getting back on point. Yeah, listen, Robert Easter is one of these guys. One fight I saw, I'm like, okay, this guy looks like he has it. Rangy, tall guy. But then the next fight I see him, he's giving up his height. That's one of our biggest pet peeves on Garcia Grill is like watching a tall guy, any boxing fan for that matter, watching a 5'9" guy fight like he's 5'4", because you give up all your advantages, when you don't work behind your stick, you just get on your knees basically and make yourself, when you was young, your uncle would get on his knees and slap boxing. That's what it looked like when Robert Easter fighting. It's like he on his knees. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? And Mikey Garcia, he's an ultimate professional. When he had the situation with Top Rank, he didn't badmouth anybody. He sat out, handled his business like a true professional. And he said, listen, on paper, like you said, Roberto, this is probably my toughest fight. But all that being said, Mikey Garcia is just too good, too polished, too disciplined to lose to a fighter like Robert Easter. Like, it's going to take a really, really good fighter. Like, I always thought Crawford could beat Mikey Garcia. I was back and forth with Lomachenko. Like, originally I thought Lomachenko with, like, the movement, the angles. But then when I watched Linares, I'm like, do what he do. Like, do what he did as far as from a timing aspect. And I'm like, wow, Mikey Garcia, that's what he does really well. Is like him and Marquez as of recent are like are two of the most are the two of the best time place punches I've seen in quite some time. You put Andre Ward in that list as well. Guys that just throw crisp counter shots, and Mikey Garcia is the best. Like, his timing, I mean, he may look slow on film and
he looks slow, but his timing, man.
The timing, man. Cotto's another guy, just from years past, like guys that look like you slow on film. I remember Floyd said that about Cotto. Was like, he seems slow and flat, but his timing, like it's just like it neutralizes the speed. And I just think Robert Easter, he hasn't fought anybody like that, and I just think he's not going to be able to deal with the timing. And I think he's going to wear out Robert Easter. I don't know if he's going to stop him.
A lot of it is what you said was just the fact that, and we always make this complaint about Robert Easter, is the fact that he's almost 6 feet, 5'11".
Right.
I forgot who he was fighting that was like 5'6", 5'5", and he was getting hit with like lead left hooks and something. Like, what's going on?
You shouldn't be there for those punches. Like, you shouldn't be there for that short stuff. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm right now. I can't. You know, we'll as that fight get closer, we'll break it down some more. But you know, my early preview on that, like I got Mikey Garcia like toasting him.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like there's levels, man. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what. Listen, fans don't understand. Some fans don't understand. It's like they may think we're overhyping some of these guys, and I know somebody probably out here watching this video like, oh, they overhyping Mikey Garcia. Who has he fought? And I'm like, listen. When the first time you see something, I don't care what it is, right? If it's a girl, a movie, whoever, if you have a perception of something, you see like, okay, this looks different or feels different from anything that I'm used to seeing or dealing with. You know, your intuition normally never lies to you.
right.
Intuition, like all of, you know, people that got a keen eye, they see the stuff that Mikey Garcia do, like, something just seems different about this guy than everybody else. And normally when guys are like that, it's going to take another different kind of guy to beat them, beat the person. So it's no diss to Robert Easter. He's just not different.
Yeah.
Mikey Garcia is like
he's just Mikey Garcia with me, man. If I were to, because he's not a guy that does anything. Like, he doesn't have one standout thing that he is great.
Neither did Marquez. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like they were just very fundamentally sound fighters, man. That were consistent. Don't
make a lot of mistakes,
man. Right. You know, and look, I mean, I definitely favor Mikey in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised with the stoppage, man, because again, it's just like
wear and tear.
It was stuff that he shouldn't be in the line of danger, man, like that. You know, when you got that type of reach and you got that type of size, man, you think I mean, Tommy Hearns at times would like get out of that, but that type of mind frame to have that thick where you have that right hand, I mean, the southpaw though, I think, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So same thing though. You have that yardstick, so you have that cannon right behind you, you know. But he just likes to get into these little wars because I don't know if it's a deal where he just kind of believes that he's always the bigger guy. In this situation, man, you may be taller than Mikey, but I'd argue Mikey might be the stronger boxer in this case.
Oh, it's
definitely more fundamentally sound. And just patience, man. We talk about, we talked about when I mentioned Crawford, you know, a lot of the things that come up with him when I say or give him positives is the fact that like his in-ring maturity.
Right.
Like, he has that. Like he has
real composed.
Right. With Robert Easter, I mean, you really think about it, like this is Robert Easter's first real big challenge, not Mikey's.
Right. I think you froze up on me, my dude. Little technical difficulties. We're gonna get it back together. Just bear with us here. So I'm gonna keep going. I don't know if we're going live or what. You know, bear with us. This is our first time actually doing this. So you know, just to Roberto's point, picking up where we left off at. Let me back this joint up. This joint a little too close. All right, there we go. Yeah. So back to what we was talking about. Mikey Garcia. He's just one of these guys. You know, he's up. His ceiling is still going. Where like a guy like Robert Easter, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say his ceiling is already peaked, but from what we saw thus far, you back, Roberto?
Yo, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, my dude. I don't know what happened.
All right. Go.
I just kept it rolling.
All right. Good looks for QB in.
Yeah, go ahead though. I was just talking to the people, just basically just saying from the ceiling aspect, Mikey Garcia his ceiling is still rising. Well, we don't even know really how good this dude is yet because he hasn't had that, that other opponent, that super type fight to bring the best out. Because I truly believe, like we saw with Ward when he fought Kovalov, i.e., especially the second go around, you get a chance to see these dudes go to another gear, another level. And I think the same thing with Mikey Garcia, where I think that Easter is going to give him a better rumble than Adrian Broner, ironically.
Good, yeah.
I think he's going to give him a better fight because I do think Robin Easter is a guy that take his craft serious. I do think he's a kid that, once he has the will and the desire, I just think that flaws are just bad habits is just something that's just, I just talked about me eating root beer floats. All of us got bad habits that we can't shake out of us. You know what I mean? And, guys get new trainers. We see it all the time. They try stuff. What happens though? Guys resort, as soon as they get in trouble, what do? They resort back to what they know, and giving up your height against a counterpuncher, that's a recipe for disaster because that's a lot of body shots and a lot of clear shots to the grill piece. And I just see, like you said, just him wearing down later in that fight. But, we still got time to dissect that. We'll get to it. We just kind of wanted to, because this is our first time really technically being in front of a camera in a minute. We don't do the podcast anymore. This is what's this called? I can't keep up with all the
time. You're technically
a webcast,
but I mean, in the form of a video,
right?
Podcast, whatever, man. But I mean, look, we got like I said, we got both of those fights to look forward to next month. We're already hitting into June. Summer's already, which is crazy. They already said the beginning of summer started like last week, but I guess for us, man, in Florida, man, like to us, beginning of the summertime, as far as like when you talk about that weather, man. So
I know it's hot down that joke, cuz.
Yeah, it's blazing out here. But look, man, so. Like I said, like the whole thing, all of this is really leading to the fight that we thought we were gonna originally get, then we weren't gonna get it, and at like the 11th and a half hour,
literally,
and we're getting the first pay-per-view of 2018, man, at least on stateside. Canelo Triple G2,
the traditional pay-per-view, because we gotta.
Yeah,
a web.
So, back a year later, this is almost kind of like the movie sequel, where it left you with the cliffhanger, and we're coming back to the scene.
No, we binge watching. We binge watching.
Yeah, right. Like we're here a year later, and it's hard to say whether or not how much has changed. I mean, look. Things have happened, that have made us question one of the participants in this fight. And now the other fighter, it's kind of a deal where, he had a fight in May. People didn't like his choice of opponent at the last minute. And now we're here, So, I mean, look, like, I don't want to make this too much of a prediction video or because
we just kind of.
But
foreshadowing.
Look, man, I think for both guys, there's questions to be answered, and you can really debate like who really has more to prove in this fight, or how detrimental a loss would be, I should say. And I think maybe that's one of the sticking factors here. Like who's in this rematch, knowing what we know at this point. Like, who's got more to lose in this situation? The 36, 37-year-old Triple G, who many think this is his probably last opportunity at big money, or the 27 turning 28-year-old who yet has found that defining victory in his career. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different ways you can look at this. And based off the first fight, again, look, It's we all believe Triple G won the first fight. I'm somebody, that I've watched the fight about 3 times. I've come up with the same decision of Triple G winning at the very least a 115, 113 or 116, 112. Either one of those for me is a win for Triple G.
No doubt.
When to me, I think people try to be very diplomatic when it concerns who they believe won the fight. A lot you hear a lot of it from the media, and we made mention of this too, man. As far as just sometimes how the media tries to kiss up to these fighters and these promoters and things and such, and they want to give a very diplomatic answer. And most, if not every single person I've spoken to, and some people are, whether they're journalists themselves, whether they're hardcore fans or casual fans, I very seldom ran into somebody that thought the fight was a legitimate draw. Very, very seldom. Like, I thought, even if they thought Canelo won, I've had people tell me that. I've had more people tell me Triple G won. Haven't really found a lot of people tell me that middle ground where they thought it was a draw. So then you start to question, like, all right, well, who's really got more to prove in this fight? The guy that many of us believe he thought he won the fight, or the guy that, like we said, you can argue still hasn't had that career-defining win, but some would say probably was granted a draw, being that it's technically not a loss. So how do you see this fight, as far as, with all that being said, going into this fight? Do you think that now this being somewhat of a grudge match will turn the course of the fight, as far as it maybe looking different than the first one?
It's interesting. I was thinking about this earlier, right? With Pat and Matthysse, right? Those fights, you talk to you got 2 different stories every time you talk to people about who won those fights. Some people throw Pacquiao won, some people throw Marquez won. No matter, it was never a consensus. It was never like a majority answer you got from a group of people. It was always split. Like, I thought Marquez didn't do enough. Pacquiao landed. Same thing with Canelo and Triple G. We all thought Triple G won the fight. We thought he landed the harder, more telling shots. Did Canelo outbox him in times? Sure. Yeah. But you don't win a fight by just boxing in spots. Right. If that was the case, then people would do that all the time and get the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully get the benefit of the doubt. Did Triple G not sell himself and step on the gas at times? Being apprehensive about being countered? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean he lost the fight. I think sometimes when you say that, there's a misconception that, because he didn't go for a quote-unquote knockout, that he lost the fight. Okay, Triple G, up until that point, to that fight, wasn't knocking people out. He took Jacobs to 12. They went to, that was a decision. Was there another decision somewhere in there?
No, that was the whole thing. So, he was knocking. That was the whole thing, though, right? Yeah, it was up until he fought Jacobs where that knockout streak ended, because that
was where it ended. But people, listen.
Became a big deal.
It became a big deal, but at the end of the day, I thought he beat Danny Jacobs.
Oh yeah. I know a lot
of people, because there was people that thought Danny Jacobs didn't do enough to win that fight. I thought he gave Triple G his best fight to date at that point, but I don't think he won the fight. So you had people with a preconceived notion going into this, the fight that took place in May? The last fight that took, last September, my bad. Last September. You had people going into that fight like, he didn't knock him out, so he lost a step. And that may be true. Listen, he may have lost steps. The man is almost 37 years old. But that being said, he outfought. You don't want to use the word outbox. That's cool. But he outfought Canelo and should have got at that decision. As far as, who has the most pressure, to me, this fight is all about Canelo. Like, nobody else. Like, Triple G, really, crazy as this may sound, he's playing with comp money. He's playing with the house's money. Like, he has nothing to lose in this fight. He's getting a career purse, right? Getting a career purse. It's a 45-55 split. You know, he got the split he wanted, which is damn good for considering all that took place. And Canelo has his name is on the line. Like, his name, everything that he stood for, everything he represented. And I know De La Hoya, he's doing it, you know, technically he's doing his job as his promoter, but, you know, there's a sense of nervousness in De La Hoya and him promoting this fight, because he knows that if he loses this fight and he looks bad losing it, what's the first thing people are going to say, Roberto? What's the first thing people are going to say?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
it's not us, not me and you. What are people? What's going to be the consensus from the people?
Yeah, he was done. I mean, he just wasn't that good, you know.
When you log on Twitter, what's the first thing you're going to see? Is a meme with a stake, right? You know how hardcore social media is. We just saw what they did to LeBron, and LeBron is a proven champion. Listen, this is the world. It's not fair sometimes, but hey, this is the world we live in.
Yeah, the perception. Right. Absolutely, man. And that's a good point, because now that's why I believe I'm on the same boat as you.
I mean, Triple G got to look like, what's if he lose? What are people? Well, they waited too long. This is what people are going to say. They wait. This is a boxing term for those who are following our program. Hey, and welcome aboard, guys. They waited out Triple G. That's a boxing term they're going to say. They waited him out. Now he's almost, the fight already took long enough to be made. And I'm props to them for actually making the fight. An older guy that you guys waited to fight, you couldn't beat convincingly. And now this whole, listen, I don't want to get into the whole meat and all that. All we know is that he failed the drug test, right? That's all that matters at this point. That's why this fight is being delayed. We can talk about hair follicles and all that other stuff. Bottom line is the fight got delayed because he failed the drug test. So now we're here going into September. The question on the table is, what happens to Canelo if he loses? Because Triple G is he's supposed to lose this fight.
Favorite to win.
And he's still favored to win. Like Vegas. Who's favored to win? Canelo?
He's favored to win by more of a margin this time around than the first time.
Who, Triple G or Canelo?
Triple G.
Oh, wow. What does that tell you? I mean, not that we can't put stock into.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? But Vegas they get it right more than they get it wrong.
Or they get it wrong. Yeah, I was just.
There's a lot of people living in shelters and a lot of divorce lawyers that can tell you that. You know, that Vegas get it right more than they get it wrong.
Right.
But no, like all kidding aside, though, Roberto and the people out there, and I know we got a lot of diehard Canelo fan, like his fans travel well. You know, people love this guy. You know, he's an attraction. He's the biggest guy. He's the biggest star in boxing. But he's also the biggest star in boxing that hasn't really had that. And then let me just explain what Roberto say. Defining moment. Aristotle Lara, controversy decision. You know, you're not going to look at me with a straight face, fan, and tell me that he beat Lara. And even if you think he beat him, you're not 100% sure he beat him. Lara, listen, he didn't do enough to seal it either, but that wasn't really like Canelo has a ride type of fight. Then we get to Cotto fight, which was Cotto was way past his prime. You know, he what they fought at 154 with Cotto.
Well, yeah, like the 155 catch, but
okay, that's what I was going to get to.
The night of the fight, it was just Canelo looked like
it looked like a middleweight fight in a welterweight, basically. Right, you know what I mean? So, and listen, Cotto did well in that fight. You know, he held his own to be a smaller dude and an over-the-hill guy. Obviously got outboxed by Mayweather. We'll give him a pass on that one. You know, but the Trout fight, he looked okay. It was open scoring. You know, Trout actually made him look kind of ordinary in that fight, I thought. Yeah. And then we get into, you know, Amir Khan's and the Chavez Jr., which are, you know, not exactly the type of fights you want to be proud of if you're a superstar fighter. The fight everybody wanted to see was Triple G fight. They said, listen, if he beats Triple G, listen, I'll yield all. Listen, no more questioning. No more questioning him. No more saying he didn't fight nobody. He fights Triple G, and what happens? More controversy. It's never a defining moment with Canelo, right?
Yeah.
It's just not like
and that's what I mean. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, it's just having that career. I mean, and look, whether people want to admit it or not, man. I mean, there's.
Can we give some examples of career-defining victories, like Mayweather beating Diego Corrales?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know, like, look, even
Cotto beating Shane Mosley, a career-defining moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. You'd even know. I mean, even late in the career of Marquez when he knocked Pacquiao out.
Right. I mean,
granted, look, and he had the luxury though of the fact that he didn't get the wins over Pacquiao in some of those fights. Like he got almost like heralded in a weird way, where it was like he was kind of like the people's champ in a way, being that, like, you know, he might have beat Pacquiao like a few of those times, but
right. No, I got you. No, I understand what you're saying, though.
But to your point, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, you go down the. I mean, look, Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns.
You know, we can go on and on. You know, like
he doesn't have that, and I think it's just that's why you have even some of the Mexican boxing fans that still look at Canelo a certain way. They give him props and everything, but it's like from a distance, you know. It's not. It's like they can't put him on that pedestal yet because he hasn't had that like defining win, you know. And it's, you know, when you go down the list of Mexican greats, man, like they all have them: Chavez, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, all these guys
came out. Listen, Roberto, nobody ever came out and spoke on behalf and said the Mexican fan base wants a victory here. They want him to beat Triple J. That's not true, De La Hoya. Nobody is going around
like the Oscar put out that all of Mexico wants.
He making this a personal beef, pun intended. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's not though. You know, he's trying to make this like this is like he on some type of you know, crusade.
How much of this, Mexico? How much of this is a huge risk for Golden Boy, man? Because, I mean, you really think – I mean, I think it's all dependent on what happens, but you think, like, if Canelo loses, and let's just say loses, like, in dramatic fashion or just convincingly.
Or looks tired at the end of the fight.
Yeah. You know,
right? So, that's something that we can't ignore. That like that's
It's I'm thinking of I mean, because look, man, Golden Boy doesn't have much to work with these days.
That's it.
Which is, look, to give them any credit, man, Oscar and team could have made up whatever story they wanted to and say, hey, we're gonna go here and not fight this guy. Look, and that's why I want to at least give him the benefit of the doubt. But then, like.
But then they have to, though. Then they have to take this fight.
Life is about choices and weighing out your best options. And look, man, I think the fact that he, in a way, Canelo still, even though with the whole follicle test and everything, he still has to clear his name.
Right.
You know, and in a way of what we just talked about. You gotta go beat this guy. Okay. Now that you're testing. Everything with, like, people don't, even his hardcore fans don't want to see him in there with, like, he was never gonna fight Danny Jacobs. I told people this when they when Oscar was talking about that. What were we talking? Posturing. That wasn't gonna happen. Billy Joe Saunders, like, that's another situation, like, difficult style, not a fan pleasing fight based on like how that I think that would play out. But look, we talk about solidifying wins. Triple G is still at a level where if Canelo manages to beat him, you finally have that win. And I think that's a major hump off of his back, let alone now you're drug testing. So, yeah, I mean, when you really peel everything back, man, I mean, this is, I think, the story. This is going to be the story of Canelo Alvarez's career, man, as far as the outcome of this fight. You really think about it, man. Like, everything is pointing to Canelo Alvarez as it relates to just if you do or if you don't. There's a story there, which could put launch his career, or it could really be the changing direction of his career as it goes on. Because at that point, the allure of him fighting like Jermall or any of these guys, then you start to think like, oh well, what would happen in those fights then? You know, because we don't even want to
Right.
put them in the same ring together. Now, Triple G at this age still manages to beat, you know, the younger, better boxer and things of such. Then, like, it just, I think it does a lot more damage to Canelo in a loss than Triple G. You know, I mean, you're gonna have people say, Triple G is this, that, and the third.
Oh, he's overrated. Yeah, right.
Or he's overrated. Yeah,
but that's like, what I'm saying. Like, well, they're already saying that anyway. So it's like, what does he like? I can't harp on this enough. Like, the guy that got the most to lose is the 27-year-old guy.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot to this. Listen, cuz if he loses this fight, or if he looks tired late, because it's not just about him getting knocked out or losing. It's how he loses.
He loses.
Because if some of those, let's just say, behaviors start showing up.
Yeah.
No people don't listen. If he start looking sleepy late in that fight, like he did in that first fight.
I just think it's the one thing I looked at when, you know, as far as just how these guys are gonna look going into this rematch. I mean, you know, Canelo's coming off a knee surgery.
No, that too. Forgot about that.
Yeah, and I just think there's
a lot of excuses build up, by the way.
Oh, boy, man.
His mind wasn't right. The knee surgery.
Yeah, man.
You know, his career, like, he was unfairly. We're going to file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of, Roberto? He's like the parent that takes his kid to an amusement park, and the kid, throw ups on a ride, and the mom wants to sue the amusement park company. That's what Oscar sound like right now. You know what I mean? Like,
he's talking greasy, man. Like,
I heard him. I seen him. Because that's nervous energy, Roberto. Yeah, nervous energy.
I just look at it from the standpoint of, you have one guy that just had a fight in May. Mm-hmm. You had the other guy who's coming off a knee surgery, 1 year in activity. And the mental game, I'm sorry, man, but that shit has got to be playing some type of role.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's got to know that the microscope is on him, based on the fact that it's like, okay, you got busted, you got thrown a bone, you're out 6 months, but guess what? Now you're being tested, and the first guy you're going to fight is a guy that people don't think that you beat last time.
Right.
I mean, it's just, there's a lot on the table, man. There's a lot on the table.
Especially the most demoralizing thing for a fighter is, because let's face it, like, Canelo early on is going to be able to outbox Triple G.
Yeah, of course.
But if those punches start bouncing off his head and he's still coming forward, it starts to set in like, oh God, I got to go through this again. Because Triple G, he's going to follow him around the whole night. That's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So,
it's. Look, the good thing is we got the fight, we're getting it and everything.
Right. I'm just glad that I got something to do.
Yeah, right.
Listen, and I know people out there can relate. Like, especially the older you get, there's not a whole lot of stuff that you do with your homies. Everybody got their own thing going on, but big time fights is the one time everybody get together, party, whatever, barbecue. Whatever you choose, however you choose to celebrate, that's an outing for us. They took that away from us at one time. And it was,
man. Yeah, I was heated when that was, because that was the first. I mean, look, even Mayweather Guerrero, that was like a May 4th, like 2013 fight. Yep. Look, like we made a party out of it. I mean, it was just an excuse.
Man, it's what we do.
Over, but. Look, for this fight, I already have people call me and say, yo, man, I heard this fight. The casual friends, like, yo.
Yeah, they all, listen, this brings them out.
On board, man. Like, they're on board, and I think that's a good thing, because I think this fight commercially is going to do better than the first one, even without all the press conferences and everything. Because all HBO really has to do, and ESPN, everybody the story's there. I mean? It's just I mean, it's set up for a perfect grudge match. You know
what Triple G should do? He should come out in a Chick-fil-A costume. Wouldn't that be dope?
Oh my God! Yo,
Wouldn't that be dope if you did that?
Just like the cow and everything.
The cow, you know?
Oh, now.
That would be sick. Chick-fil-A should sponsor this.
Yo, that'd be even funnier.
Yeah, that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Nobody bet not steal this idea either.
Yo, can you imagine the lines if one of the things about Chick-fil-A sponsoring the fight was like, if you come down to get like your sweepstakes of the Triple G Canelo fight, you know those lines already are around the block. That joint would be like.
It will be epic for them. It's a marketing and it plays into the situation, you know.
Yo, that
no beef,
so
no chicken.
Look, that they're saying that they don't want that involved, like the whole clenbuterol discussion. But I'm like, come on, man, how can you not involve that?
You can't mute the world, like
yeah, man, like it's out there. Like, what are you gonna do? You know, like HBO.
Yeah, you can't silence. Silence perception.
Yeah. Whatever preview show they got going on, it's gonna be part of that. You know, it's a major part of the storyline of the rematch. I mean, the fact that we are having it in September,
right,
exactly due to the fact of what this guy took and why he got banned, why he got suspended. So, you know, they got a lot to work with, man. But I think when all is said and done, it's really all going to be about what both of these guys do different in the rematch, which is something in rematches we all look for.
Right.
We know
makes the adjustments.
We know what both guys bring to the table, but you know, then you start to pick at the fighters and say, well, out of both Canelo and Triple G, who was missing some of his arsenal that night? You know, and you know, with Triple G, a lot of it with him was missing was the body shots. I mean, I think you can count on two hands, like only how many body punches he might have thrown practically the whole night. You know.
Right.
Canelo, I mean, look, man, he's not known to be a guy that throws a lot. He can be slick when he wants to.
Right.
You made mention of it. He gets criticized through his fights that he doesn't do enough through the rounds. And look, even when you look at the Cotto fight, he won some of those rounds a little spurty.
Right.
You know, you just like boom, boom, boom. Nice combination, didn't do much else, you know, and you know, with Triple G, man, like he can't let Canelo get to an early lead. You know,
I was going to say that's the thing. The thing about Canelo that he's able to do is he's able to get. And you mentioned Triple G not throwing body punches. One of the reasons why he was a little apprehensive about letting his hands go, especially to the body, committing staying longer on the X because of the counter punching ability of Canelo. Listen, Canelo's a really good, like he's over the years, you know, I've been critical, but he's actually really improved as a fighter.
Yeah.
My biggest criticism of him was putting it all together on a string. Like, and I'm not talking about against Khan and all these other overmatched guys. I'm talking about when he steps up his level of competition.
Yeah. That comes with, right.
And we always talk about the level. When you level up, you know, you gotta bring your A game. I'm only gonna fight 1 minute of a round. I'm only gonna give you 4 out of 8 and hoping the judge give me 2 extra. I'm talking about he gotta at least give me 6 quality rounds in this fight. And you know, when you fighting a guy like Triple G, and one of the reasons why I had picked Triple G in the first fight is because I'm like, is he gonna be able to sustain that onslaught of Triple G moving around, sidestepping? And I know in this fight he did clinch a few times in the fight. I mean, I was talking about he was going to have to do that, but like, is he going to be able to sustain that? And the question was, he got tired in the second half of that fight, of the first fight, and he wasn't really letting his hands go like that later on in the fight. Now the problem was Triple G didn't let his hands go either. But I thought that Triple G had did enough up until that point to win the fight. You know, even though Canelo had the better combinations, but Triple G, like Canelo, that's when people were saying he wasn't catching him. Yes, he did. He caught him with some good shots. Canelo just ate him. But that doesn't negate the fact that this is the thing that was frustrating talking to people. Okay, you saying that he ate, but he still took, like he got hit with like some shots, you know? I mean, his chin held up against these shots, but he still got hit with these. Put it like this, Triple G had the more like, you know, Max always got to say, who would you rather be in a round? Like, it was some of them rounds. I would rather be Triple G than Canelo because of the
shots. That's a good point.
Yeah, but listen, he outboxed Triple G in spurts. Spurts and doing it for a course of a fight, that's two different things, you know what I mean? But we still got a whole bunch of time.
And to people, you know, I saw some arguments saying, oh, well, you know, when Floyd does that, he, you know, it's not a problem, you know. Here's the difference. Floyd doesn't get hit with the shots like
Canelo. I was going to say Floyd's slipping and rolling and
clinching.
And you know? Floyd is like walking you on a leash like a dog. Like he's walking you into these shots. You know, he's leading with like where Canelo is just doing it in spurts. Yeah. Like you can't fight in spurts and expect to get a decisive win.
You just visibly see him backpedaling because I could see somebody using footwork to get out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. Like
to get their own shots.
I saw him take rounds off in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly rounds 5 and 6 and on, and then you know you could flip flop 10 and 12. I mean, he would hit Triple G with some shots, but Triple G's just started.
He survived. He survived. It was a
survival mode, you know.
Yeah, surviving and winning are two different things.
Yeah, know? And even that 9th round, man, I think Triple G was like just that much more assertive, man. I think he could have like really hurt Canelo. Like Canelo was already breathing heavy, and he always gets those little second breaths of that come in the later rounds. But I mean, really, I think for Triple G, man, it's. I mean, again, look, we got to see. Again, when a fighter's 36, 37 years old, you do have to take into account like how are they?
That's the one thing. Yeah,
you know. I mean, but him being active this, you know, at this age it's not a bad thing.
Right.
I think had he got in from last September, had not fought and went into September, I think, you know, Tom Loeffler, Abel Sand, they might have been a little worried. And that's why, like, when they picked Vanis March and I'm like, I'm not shocked because they, you know, their hope was they were trying to get the Canelo fight after.
Right.
And even Canelo being 28 years old, man, while, you know, some will argue, say, well, you know, a year's okay. For him being 27, 28, the youth is still on his side. But again, man, there's things in a fight that you have to physically be like alert for. And sometimes, man, that lengthy period of time, that little ring rust may show up in the fight when you don't want it to, you know. And at this level of a fight, you know, against a guy who you look with Triple G, I don't think you're gonna see really anything drastically different. Like, you know what you have to prepare for. It's just whether or not Canelo can apply what we know he needs to apply, but if he can do it. Because I'm of the belief, man, if he had the ability to clinch and was a more consistent fighter, we would have seen it in the first fight. You know, I just don't know how much we're gonna see different in this second fight, man. I mean, I think it's gonna be somewhat of a mirror of the first one, man. It really depends on when certain things start. You know, does Canelo outbox him for a lengthy period? Does Triple G start earlier? Like, it's
like, is he gonna turn into Sugar Ray Leonard against? Like, I mean, seriously, like, is this gonna be nomads? Like, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these characteristics and attributes he just don't have as a fighter.
Yeah, right.
Like, he's not Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, he's not. And I know, like, his trainer, some people get carried away comparing him to Floyd just because he do a show.
I never understood that.
Yeah, well, that's it. People just get carried away. Yeah.
Never understood that.
That's like comical to me. But yeah, all right, man. Let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah, man. So like we said, man, the summertime, you know, not much going on, but you know, we'll be back doing episodes. Follow us at Garcia Boxing on Instagram. We appreciate all the follows on Facebook, man. And we're back on the tube, man. We're back on the tube. So we're gonna look about doing a show next week. I'm actually gonna be I got Pops in from out of town.
Yeah, I'll hold it down.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll you know, just stay tuned, man. We got more in store.
Yeah.
Hopefully the fall will grant us some much needed well-matched fights and not just named exhibitions. So
we tread water this year.
Oh, dude. So so like I said, follow us at Garcia Grill Boxing, man. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/GYG Boxing. You can buy some apparel on FreshTeesForYou.com, hoodies, t-shirts, and the whole nine. So we'll be back next week, man. I am Roberto Flack, my man Coltrane. We out, man. Peace.